Well, let's start with the NRL, Matt. How's the ground looking at the moment?
Yeah, the ground is actually looking fantastic. I was up there this morning looking around. I didn't go out on the ground. I didn't think they'd appreciate it with my nice pointy shoes going out there. Obviously, on Sunday, there'll be people with studs running around on there, but I thought I'd leave it alone because it does look magnificent. The playing surface looks perfect. And then even around the ground, obviously, you've got the grandstand, which looks magnificent, but around the ground on the amphitheatre feature that you've got around the ground, even the grass up there looks great. I just saw some of the food stalls starting to come in. I saw the toilets, 100 toilets we've got. People, go to the toilet before you come to the game wheel. That's a lot of toilets, I thought. But no, apparently that's the sort of number of toilets we'll need for the crowd that we'll have there on Sunday. There'll be food stalls everywhere. There'll be bars. There'll be things happening. So it looked magnificent today, but it will look a hive of activity on Sunday.
And talk to me about the sort of people you're expecting in terms of people coming into the ground, people coming into Dubbo. What are we sort of looking at?
Certainly we'll have a lot of people from Dubbo who love the idea that the NRL game is being played in our city, but people from the region who may not always get the chance to get down to Sydney, for example, to watch a game. So you'll have people visiting from the likes of Narromine and Walgett and Brewarrina and Burke and Gilgandra, a whole range of areas. In fact, I was out at Burke only about a month or so ago and they had a charity auction that night. And of course, one of the things that came up for the charity auction was some tickets to the game and they went for a ridiculous price. So people from the whole region are all very keen to see this game, be part of this game. And I think the logic is quite correct from people from around the region. If they support the game when it comes, then more games will come. If we only got a low crowd that came along, then it would be hard to justify the cost of hosting this game again in future years. So we really want a huge crowd to be able to say to our community, the $350,000 that the NRL club wants, that's the typical fee they charge, then that sort of fee is justifiable by the number of people we get in and the money that we can possibly make out of that.
And is there much on after the match?
There's actually just an under-7s game on after the match. So the curtain raiser is an under-16s game. So that'll be fantastic. You can imagine as an under-16-year-old, and I used to play under-16 rugby league, and I probably had a crowd of 20 watch me when there was maybe a few parents hanging around watching the game. So having that crowd build up towards the end of that game, you can just imagine a 16-year-old looking around seeing maybe 15,000 people in the stands will be fantastic. The main game will be at 2 o'clock, and then there's still enough time to play, as I say, that very much a junior game afterwards. Hopefully some of the crowd hangs around after that, but then really it's up to the rest of the community, the businesses in the community in terms of what they do. There might be pubs putting on specials, they might have some entertainment on, all sorts of things, but the community is definitely, the arms are open waiting for the crowd to come along and obviously stay here overnight, go out to some pubs and restaurants afterwards. I think the whole community, that's hospitality community in particular, is very excited about the match.
Fantastic. And moving on to the pool, so it sounds as though prices have doubled, but people aren't happy about it.
Yeah, and it's actually quite interesting. At face value, it does look like prices have doubled. So just to give you an idea, if I looked at the season pass, this is a family season pass for example, the Dubbo pool, then last year, the year that's just finished, so that's the 2021-22 financial year, you paid $260 for a season pass for a family. The next year, so the 22-23 financial year, the proposed fare, this is a proposed budget at this stage, is $518. So that pretty much looks like a doubling. But the reality is the fee last year and the year before were discounted fees due to COVID. The fee in 2019-20 was $514 for a season pass for a family. That end of that pool season pretty much coincided when COVID started hitting, end of March, early April, when the impact of COVID really started. And by then, that was about the same time the pool season was just finishing. The next year, the council of the day for the 2021 year decided that it would be a bit tough when obviously COVID had hit and was having a major impact to charge that same amount. So they discounted it by about half to $250 for that year. The next year, they went to $260. We're basically saying let's put it back to what the status quo was. So $518 is really only a $4 increase in what it was 3 years ago. Again, at face value, it looks like a doubling, but it's really just returning to, dare I say, somewhat normality. And it's hard to say normality in this current day and age. You really don't know what normal is, but that's really getting back to that. And part of that is really around the losses the pool has been sustaining, and we can't keep going on sustaining those sort of losses. If I go go back several years ago, the pool lost, or the contribution from the community to run the pools was $880,000. But if we look at those 2 years where the discounts applied, the loss to the community was $1.7 million and $1.5 million. So we really need to get back to a point where the pool will still cost the community money, but we want it to cost less money to the community.
Of course. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that covers. I think that if people understand that, and we're still happy to take submissions, that's the really important thing. It's a draft budget. We want to hear from people. We want to hear the impact of any of the changes in the budget. But keep in mind, it's a budget. So we don't have a magic pot of money that we just put our hand into and pull out some more money when we need it. It really is a balancing act. So if we put those fees back down again, then that means less income from the pool. That means more contribution from the community and rates. That means we can't spend that money somewhere else. So I really encourage people to put a submission in. If they do put a submission in, it's not compulsory, but it's nice if they can add some sort of idea about where we're spending too much money, to take some money from that to put towards the pool, for example.
And when do the submissions close?
Submission closes at the end of this month. So you can go online, just go to dubbo.nsw.gov.au. It's there on the front page. You'll see budget, you'll see operational plans there. Click on that. You can actually look at the budget in detail. It's a fairly heavy document, a couple of hundred pages, but you can go specifically, you can go searching for parts of it. So you can look for the pool, for example, and then there's a process there just to put a submission in. And councillors will read all those submissions. We'll make our final decision on the final budget only after we've read through all those submissions and considered how they may impact the overall community.
Okay, fantastic.
Thanks, Scott.